Mission 43 podcast, episode I don't even know anymore. Today we're super lucky to have Jade Chase. He's normally the guy behind the cameras that you're seeing right now. He's the owner and founder of 1890 Creative, formerly 1890 Productions, and does all the content for Mission 43 that you've ever seen on our social media or otherwise. He is an Air Force veteran, a native Idahoan, and has an incredible story about his transition from being a nurse all the way to being a creative marketing guru. Let's get started. Welcome to the Mission 43 podcast, a podcast dedicated to discussing the struggles and triumphs of transitioning to life after the military. I'm Dan Nelson. I'm a former Army Special Forces officer who's personally experienced the challenges of transitioning to civilian life. In every episode, we'll be sharing tips, strategies, and real-life stories of veterans and their families who've chosen Idaho for their life after the military. So join us, and let's start the conversation. We're in for a real treat today. We got Jade Chase, who's normally on the opposite side of the cameras here. He is the founder and owner of 1890 Productions, not to be confused with his competitor 1891 or 1883 or any of the other ones. But 1890 Creative and or Productions has been with Mission 43 since the very beginning, right?
That's right, man. I truly feel like an OG. I
feel like
one of those like the hair club for men, where the guy's like, I'm not only involved in the marketing department, but I'm also a user. That's how I feel. That's how I feel now. So it's cool.
Well, it's been fun to go through pictures of you from the very beginning of Mission 43 in 1890 till now. Some things have gotten grayer. Some things have gotten differently shaped.
That's true. This is true.
Me too.
Different weight classes.
Yeah, I went from like pear to beach ball and toothpicks.
Yeah.
But I haven't been here near as long as you have. So I'm curious, I want to talk to you about entrepreneurship because you came out of the military and had your own struggles in transition, but you've created something now that is quite successful.
Yeah.
And you're starting some even new things that I'm kind of wondering, where that drive comes from. But first, what branch of the military did you serve in?
I'm pleased to say I served in the United States Air Force.
I said military.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, I think we spent more time in hotels than we did in anything else. But, I love my time in the Air Force, a roundabout way to getting into it. I was 30 years old when I went on active duty.
Old man.
I was an old man. Yeah, I was already old. And the story, I think, behind that was 9/11 happened. I was a sophomore in university. I born and raised here in Idaho, but went to my undergrad was from the University of St. Thomas out in Minnesota. My dad was living out there. So I went out to St. Thomas, and I was out there, and 9/11 happened. And I think at the time, my brother and I, my brother's on active duty still in the Army, I think we had that, I remember having that conversation with him. It's like, well, do we go out and do we go do it? How, or we just leave college behind and go? And I think probably the parental units around us were like, you guys should probably finish your education, and if you want to do it after that, then you could go join the fight. But Cody and I both were, 9/11 was something that was very memorable and just stuck out in our lives, and he and I both felt the need to want to serve. It's just it came a little later in life for he and I. But
yeah, well, it's still really impressive and honorable that you did, and you're not alone in that story. I think a lot of people that are in the Mission 43 solar system have similar stories, at least of their motivation to continue serving or start serving because of September 11th. That's why a lot of our programming revolves around that event and others. But so what did you choose to do?
Yeah, so wow, it was really difficult for me to figure out what I was going to do because, well, I guess what I did in the Air Force, I was a nurse, was an RN. A male nurse,
yes.
Yeah, also.
30-year-old Second Lieutenant Chase.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky. I commissioned. I was direct commissioned as a first lieutenant.
Oh, nice.
So it was nice. I had my master's degree in nursing at that point in time.
That's awesome.
Had experience working at the hospital, and so they direct commissioned as a first lieutenant. But, in 2009, I was finishing my master's degree in nursing, and there was the big push. Obama comes on, right? And he's like, hey, we're, reaffirm Afghanistan, we're going to get more troops out there. And so at the tail end of finishing my master's degree, I was like, well, if there's ever going to be a time now, I better do it. I'm 30 years old. Luckily they take healthcare professionals when they're much older, and so that was advantageous for me. But I'm in my last few semesters, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go do this. So I'm calling all sorts of recruiters and saying, what are my options? Do I try to go in now, or should I wait until I graduate? And all the recruiters are like, wait till you graduate. It's going to be much better for you from a financial standpoint. All
Impressive.
That kind of stuff. To do
Impressive restraint for the recruiters.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so I waited, but like literally I graduated at like December of 2009, and I was on the phone immediately with recruiters saying, what are my options? And they do the nursing boards, and they decide how many RNs do they need. And I was deciding between Air Force and Navy. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Air Force seemed like the best opportunity. My brother, who was in the Army, said, if you were going to do something, go Air Force.
Yeah, he's like,
hey, yeah. You're gonna have a good experience with that. And so I decided on the Air Force route, and so I had to wait like a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah, before coming on active duty. I thought, and there's some themes in this in my Air Force career as well as my transition, that I thought, wow, I'm just gonna drop my package for the Air Force and they're just going to pick me up. And it took a long time. I kept getting bumped out. They canceled a couple nursing boards. They said, hey, we're going to select you, but we think it's going to be a little bit later. And I waited almost 18 months.
So typical military stuff, you're waiting, you're hurrying up to wait. Was there any moments of doubt during this 18 months of just waiting?
Not really at all. I think when I look back on it, I was extremely excited. Like, I knew this is what I wanted to do and made the decision. Again, I'm 30 years old at the time, so I thought about the consequences from what I knew. I had talked to plenty of people and thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now, and made up my mind. And so I'm just biding my time. I think more than anything, what I was worried about is, where am I going to go? Yeah. And at that point in time, I'm thinking, well, I could, because of my experience already, like I could go on active duty and very quickly be deployed, and will be deployable, and could find myself in Afghanistan or wherever it is. And so I was gearing myself up for that, but I was very excited and ready to rock and roll.
So what happened when it finally came to fruition?
So I get the call, and they're like, hey, this is when you're going to go. I went to COT, commissioned officer training. So
basically like a hotel, and they're like, this is how you put on your uniform.
Yes. Yeah. I did not bring my golf clubs.
Oh, good.
But looking back, I probably could have.
It was truly the crucible.
Yes, it was.
The hardest school in the military.
Yes, it was very difficult. And I think truly the prior enlisted guys around me that are like laughing when like our flight commander's yelling at us, they're just laughing at it. I'm like, oh, this must be kind of half joke. But the indoctrination was good. I really tried to embrace it. Yeah. I come from a blue collar family, and very patriotic, and I was like, I want to do this by the books. Yeah. And so I was so training went well, and then I was kind of off of my Air Force career.
Well, what did that entail? Where was your first duty station?
My one and only duty station was Nellis Air Force Base in Las
wonderful.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vegas, baby.
Fun for 4 days. It was an interesting experience for 4.5 years.
Right.
But yeah. So down in Nellis, which was nice, being an Idaho kid, born and raised here in Boise. Like, I was pleased that I was staying out west. I was fairly close to home. So I was there, and I worked on their inpatient medical surgical unit as a floor nurse, charge nurse, and then kind of became like an element leader or flight commander for a portion of my career there too. I spent the entire time there. Yeah, that's all I did.
Any deployments?
One, in 2015. So Operation Inherent Resolve. Again, I was in Kuwait. But I don't get a choice. I was tasked multiple times.
You don't get a choice.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it is what it was, and I'm very, very thankful for that opportunity to deploy. But had been tasked 2 times to go to Bagram, but then got bumped for somebody who had more critical care training that they needed at the time. Had been tasked to go on the USNS Comfort with the Navy. Yeah, for a goodwill tour that was supposed to go through the Caribbean. Yeah.
Oh, through the Caribbean?
Yeah, I was supposed to.
Deployed to Barbados?
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
I was supposed to. I had moved out of my apartment, was in billeting on base, and sequestration hit 2 days, and they canceled it immediately. So, so I was like, I missed my cruise.
Absolutely.
In the Caribbean. But had an excellent time on my deployment. It was difficult in a lot of ways. 2 nurses, and I was I was the night shift nurse the entire time, and when you only have 2 RNs, did a lot of
yeah.
work. Yeah.
Well, it's a unique niche, though, really. Like any of the nurses or medical professionals in the military, you're one of the few jobs in the military that do their job stateside, right? Like as an infantry guy or whatever, you're not doing a job here stateside, really. You're just training all the time for the next trip. But how was the experience being a nurse in the Metro Vegas area?
Yeah, it was, I think, very well stated there. Very much my career as an RN in the civilian world just transitioned over. I wore a different uniform. Things were a little bit different with policies and procedures, but for a lot of things, it was the same way. And I think the challenge was at that point in time, I think leading a lot of young nurses that were coming into the Air Force.
Yeah.
And so vast majority of the staff that I had on my unit, were brand new grad nurses.
Yep.
Some foreshadowing for what I'm doing now, and just dealing with training them, getting them ready for deployment, making sure they're clinically competent, so when they go down range, they can take care of guys that are doing the heavy shit, and making sure that when they go outside the wire, we are here when they come back if they are injured, that we can take care of them. So it was a lot of training and just trying to spin people up and get their clinical skills to the level that they needed to be so that we can maintain the mission, stateside and deployed.
During this time, like you're actively a nurse, you're actively a commissioned officer, you're leading.
Yeah.
Are you also like dabbling in creative projects? Are you filming stuff? Are you a amateur photographer at this point?
I was not. I really was all in for my job at the Air Force. That's really all I was doing. I was trying to advance my nursing career, so I took 2 national certifications while I was in. So I got my Med-Surg RN certification, studied for and took, and then my Nurse Executive Board certified certification, training for the deployments that were either canceled and or I went on, and kind of going all over the place. And so I really wasn't I was I am a nurse, I am going to be a nurse, and that was the blinders were on, and that's really all I was doing.
Well, that's a common theme for you though, is all in. Like you're all in college, you're all in to the nursing route, you're all into the being an Air Force nurse. And then talk about transition. Like what made you want to leave and come to the civilian sector? Or
yeah, my time on active duty was I think active duty lifestyle is really difficult. And I would say most people are going to say that. I didn't have a family. I wanted a family.
Yeah.
I miss being home here in Idaho, and so I think I had these thoughts when I was getting ready to PCS. I'm like, AFPC is not going to let me pick where I want to go, and I would love to come back to Mountain Home Air Force Base and be close to home and have this opportunity to serve here and still be on active duty. And there was just no guarantee for that. And I think at that point I was I think I really did what I wanted to do, which was serve and wear the uniform of my country. And then, after 4.5 years of that, I was like, I think I'm good to head home.
Yep.
And
it's funny how you give yourself permission.
Yeah, I really had to have that conversation with myself and say, I think am I okay with this, because I really committed.
Yeah.
And I feel like kind of a dork, but I was really into it. I always made sure my uniform looked great, and I always wanted to be presentable and do it. I really was into the customs and courtesies and really into that lifestyle. So, and I really drank the Kool-Aid. And so my transition was, for me, I thought it was going to be super easy. I was like, you were a civilian 4.5 years ago. You really haven't changed. Drop your paperwork, head home, and it was going to be great. And I really struggled. I really did. I finished my deployment, and then 2 months later moved back home, and then wanted to travel. Well, I had a little terminal leave left, so I went to Africa with my family. I think there was just so much change all happening at once that I kind of broke down when I was on my vacation. And really kind of, I was I remember my dad being are you okay? And I was hammered and I'm just going to fly home because I don't want to be here. I'm ruining your guys' vacation because I'm just not enjoying this. Luckily my brother was there, and he was like, yeah, Jade's just going through a transition here. It's tough.
What was it? What was the driver for that pain that you were feeling?
I think it truly is the purpose for me. I really liked being a part of that team. Yeah. That team aspect. And so I really struggled with just saying goodbye, and then that instant change.
Yeah.
like just take it off and like be gone with
Normal
it.
life. Poof.
Yeah, boom, and here it is. And so I did actually really struggle with that. And you know, I think just internally and with some family and friends kind of made my way through it. But I think, you know, I think what also made it difficult was coming home and expecting that, like, I'm now sitting at like, okay, I have like 7 or 8 years of nursing experience, a master's degree, national certifications. I'm just going to come home and like drop my resume off at like one of these hospitals.
Take me.
Here it is.
The highest bidder.
Yeah, like here it is. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Expect your call
Thank
next
me
week.
for my service.
Yes, yeah. And I think getting dropped into the pile of resumes out there, especially for the positions I was trying to compete for, you know, a manager position on a unit in one of the hospitals here, or a director or something like that. I mean, a lot of those get filled internally.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't have the resource, didn't have the network to make that work. And this was before I met Mission 43, or knew of Mission 43. And so luckily I did know some people here from having worked at the hospital at St. Luke's here locally, called some people and was able to at least find a job. It was lower than what I wanted, but found what some form of leadership position.
As a nurse?
As a nurse, yeah, as an RN. And you know, kind of went back into the work thing. But I think a lot of that was, I think a lot of the stress and struggle that I had really changed my mind about what purpose was, and I just was punching a clock, and I didn't feel like I had the purpose even at the hospital that I wanted and was looking for. And I read a couple books, entrepreneurship books, and that
Which books?
really the one that really stands out was like Rich Dad Poor Dad. Is it Kiyosaki, I think is who wrote it, but that one made a really resounding impression on me at the right time. And so I'm like, hey man, I think I can do this. I'm gonna at least try. It saved up some money, and I'm gonna try something. And if I fail, who cares? But I at least try.
It's something we hear a lot, but that takes an enormous amount of cojones, man, to be like, I'm going to no longer receive a paycheck for a while to do something that I think will work.
Yeah.
How did you settle on the creative industry of all things?
A lot of it has to do with people I knew and probably low barrier of entry. For the fact of the matter is, like, I am not a creative. Like, I don't film or do anything like that.
You're a marketing person.
Yeah. I've learned some of that over the years, but I didn't at the time. So low barrier of entry. I'd saved up some money in the military, and it was like, well, it's not like I'm gonna start, you know, my own hospital or something like that. I don't have the funds for that. But like, you know, getting some camera equipment or production equipment and getting started was much easier transition into the entrepreneurial space. And then luckily I knew 2 people, my cousin Matt and David DiDonato, Triple D, who's filming this right now.
Triple D.
Yeah, met them, and they had already kind of kicked off some side projects. And I was like, I think I can bring in some leadership and some business experience and life skills that I had, and say, hey, I think we can make a go at this, knowing that at this time, you know, 2016, it's full into Instagram and all the channels. Like, everyone needs content. I was like, we could find our way through this and hopefully find some clients. So I really just kind of dove in and just said, if it fails, it fails. I'm willing to spend a little bit of money to learn more about business, more about what it's like to bet on yourself, and get through, you know, at least learn about what it takes to start a business. So that was really nice. 1890
is what came from that. So what's with the name?
So 1890, we started as 1890 Productions. We are now 1890 Creative. 1890, I think, really pays roots to homage to the roots of Idaho. That's when it became a state in the year 1890. And so I think we're really big on that, origin stories, telling the story of companies at that time. You know, we really do a lot of video work, showcasing people what they do, what their passion is. And I think without putting, you know, Idaho in our name, there was a way to still be linked to like Idaho.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Starting off, did you guys already have like a short list of clients, or were you under the 16th Street Bridge just begging for people to get in your car, or what?
Yeah. Yeah, we were doing work for free, nonprofits, trying to find people to just give us a swing and say, hey, here you go. Come do this work, and really kind of learning in
how did Mission 43 find you?
Yeah, so that's It found me via Brian von Herbulis. Was in my MBA class. I was taking my MBA at the same time. So I was trying to work full-time, start up businesses, and get my MBA all at the same time. But luckily it was, Vaughn was like, hey, man, like there's this nonprofit. It's veteran related. We need some help with some content creation. Would you be willing to do it? And I think props to him, props to Brian Madden, obviously, that were like, hey, like if we're going to preach helping veterans, like we should probably hire some people that might be able to help us do this kind of stuff. And that's how we got. My very first Mission 43 event was Brian Stan. I had to look it up in the archives. It was February of 2017.
The founder of Hire Heroes USA.
Yeah, Hire Heroes USA. Yeah, when he was came in for the 43 Inc. And that was my first event. And then from there, it was just networking, and that's really the power, I think, of Mission 43, is that you plug in to their network, and their network is everywhere in the state. And there's people of power and of influence that can help you, so long as you can do the work.
Yeah.
And so long as you can follow up with your end. Mission 43 is there to really see you be successful. Well, and that's what they did.
It's wild, man, because you guys, I don't know what people know, but 1890 Creative does everything for Mission 43 when it comes to our creative, our social media, including LinkedIn, all of our videos, all of our podcasts, anything that you see on film, whether it's stills or video, is you guys, and copywriting and all these other things, and marketing strategy, with obviously working with the J. and Catherine Albertson Family Foundation and Stacia Albiston, who runs the communications department. But you guys are the ones actually like putting rubber to road when it comes to anything marketing for Mission 43. And I mean, we have over 8,000 members statewide, and 5 years of existence. It's gone mostly because of you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, in the success of 1890 has been because of the guys that are doing the hard work, Tripoli and Torin on the back end, and some other people that we've had that have worked at 1890 that have moved on to other things as well. But it's been a team effort to do that. Very blessed that the Family Foundation would give us the opportunity to work with a classy joint like Mission 43 and other opportunities that might come up in the future. So just very blessed with it, and I think we've tried to make the most of our opportunity. A big lesson in entrepreneurship. It's like playing football, man. Like someone goes down and you get an opportunity, like you better shine when the light's on you, and then make the most of it so you can keep going. And we've been fortunate that there's been some high level people that have given us opportunities in high level businesses. And we've been able to deliver for them and build a brand ourselves. So.
Well, as much as you guys do for Mission 43, we're far from your only client.
Oh yeah,
and you guys
most important though.
You guys still have like 3 employees. You're a pretty lean team.
Yeah, I feel bad now when you say that because I think I work them really hard.
Well, you do, but you also work hard yourself.
Yeah, and I think with all the entrepreneur, different things, building your brand, what does it stand for, type of stuff. We're a collaborative team, but I think that's one of the things that if you would put us up against any other 3-person creative shop in town or in a lot of other big cities, and I think we're gonna beat them because we outwork them. All the hard work, our creative approach that we bring to things, the process of actually getting a deliverable done, and meeting the goals of those projects. My team knows how to do it, and I rely on them, and they rely on me, and I think we do it together. And that's a really important part. And it's hard to do that on a big team on the creative level. I think because we're small, we can be nimble, and we're able to find success.
What is it that makes 1890 different for other like potential clients out there than some of the mega monster marketing groups?
Yeah, I think we've learned who we are, and we feel really comfortable with certain types of businesses and certain types of brands, like a Mission 43. Maybe something that's a little grungier feel to it. We do a lot of work with veteran-owned businesses. We work with a lot of tech companies too that need a very clean approach potentially. Yeah. But because of our skill set, our ability to do things, we match really well with them. So, not saying that a makeup company might say, "Hey, can you give us a hand?" and we could do that. But I would say that's not like our typical type of client. Generally, like I said, we really find people that we understand their brands because maybe we have life experience with what those brands currently do, or we're passionate about what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's really easy
Yeah.
to work with them because we might even be what their consumer audience is. Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly the case with Mission 43. I'm thinking you guys have been around for 6 years?
6 years now? Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
So are you in a position now as a company to be able to say no when you want to, when people are saying like, hey, I have this job?
Yeah. Oh, we're busy enough now.
Yeah.
Yeah, to try to pick the right opportunities. The projects, I think our projects have gotten fewer, but they've gotten more challenging.
Yeah.
We travel a lot for some of our clients, which takes time away from other clients as well. But I think there's probably some jobs that come through that like 4 years ago we would have said absolutely 100%, and now we kind of scratch our head and say, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know what I mean? Because we can't. I don't want to overtap us. You know, and we want to make sure that the quality of the work we do is highest it can possibly be, and so we're a little bit selective with who we work with.
You got to be a rare percentage, honestly. And even though Mission 43, we're big in our entrepreneur program that Allison Garrow has set up and all these things.
Which is a great program.
It is. And you've been awesome enough to lend advice and mentorship to a lot of the folks that go through there. But this is your first business you ever run, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And it's doing pretty damn well. And now your entrepreneurial spirit still has not been dimmed. You're starting something else, or you started something else.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I really want to be like and want to emulate, I would say the vast majority of them don't have one business that they're a part of.
Yeah, I see that too.
They're parts of many businesses. I would like to say that some of that has to do with you place a lot of bets and you're hoping one or two of them hits, right? But I think if you're a true entrepreneur, you get bored with just getting a business together and going like that building of a business and creating of it is really fun and exciting. It's really hard, but it's really exciting. And so you want to just kind of get that serial, you want to keep going, but you have to be really careful you don't overextend yourself. And there's times where I would say, I'm approaching that for myself, and I have to be, because I don't want things to fail. I want it to be successful. But
sure.
I think a lot of it is just I get excited about building a business. It's a lot of fun, and I want to keep doing that, and that's why I have other side projects that I'm working on and will probably continue to work on.
Is it a feeling of competition? Is it just the mystery, the unknown, or is it truly a desire to create something from the ground up and see it either flourish or not?
I think one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is you get to decide what value is for your customer. And I think that's one of the things I love the most is that, most customers, right, have a limited number of people they can go to when they want to solve a problem. And so what I love is trying to get into the mind of my audience or my consumer and be like, well, I can create true value for you. I think I know what this is. And it's a lot of fun when you hit it. And they're like, that was super valuable for me. And then you get to make money.
Yeah.
And
that's
I'm
a bonus.
An entrepreneur. I want to make money.
Yeah.
That's and I think that it's really fulfilling to get like a paycheck and be like, dang man, like I created something or we created something as a team and they literally paid us. I can't believe they freaking paid us to do this stuff. But it's really cool. And I think 1890 takes on this marketing problem for our clients, and we're a boutique shop, and so we really get to know our clients really well. I don't think we don't want to be this huge marketing agency that takes people over. We want, or massive brands. I think we like the smaller brands that we get to know really well and work with. And then with my other side project, Intuitive RN, which is a nursing startup that's working on advancing clinical skills and developing clinical skills for nurses.
Nice.
Like we're really wanting to solve a major problem and show value to help the nurses of the next generation of nurses hit the bedside and truly be competent and maintain the standard of care when they get there. So I haven't left my nursing roots behind, even though I do all the marketing stuff on a day-to-day basis. I'm still passionate about taking care of people and helping heal people and finding a way to do that.
And now you're doing all these things. So 2 businesses, and you started a family. You're married, have 2 kids, and you're a geriatric father of a little tiny baby.
Very much so, yeah. Embracing.
I'm just kidding.
Embracing the age
We're
difference.
basically the same age.
Yeah, well, I'm 18 months older than you. So.
Well, never mind then. Disagree. So how is it balancing everything?
Difficult. I would say if my wife was here, she would probably say I work too much. But I try to compartmentalize, and I think my training as a nurse helps with that, because I think medical people, especially nurses, are good at like systems and working on certain things and letting other things, just really compartmentalizing things. And so I try to turn off the work stuff when I can, and be at home and fully at home. And I probably fail at that more than I should. These guys, Tord and Triple D, have seen me just like stare at the wall, and it looks like I'm staring off into nothing. But it's my gears are just working, and I think I'm always thinking, like, some of my best ideas are in the middle of the night. I got a pad of paper next to my bed, so I write things down. So I hope I can. I think what I lose in time with family, I'm trying to make up with setting an example for my kids.
Yeah.
That if you want to do something, you work hard at it, and you go get it. So
I think it's awesome, man. And honestly, like, full disclosure, you're one of the more interesting people I've ever met in my life. It's really strange how our paths crossed too before I started working for Mission 43. But I am honored to know you, someone that's a patriot and such a hardworking person, such a caring person for his employees, for his family, for his friends. And we all love you, Jade, and we wish you nothing but continued success. And we're so damn proud to have you be a part of Mission 43, because it is really unique. Even though 1890 isn't officially a part of Mission 43, you're a part of the family, and you've offered so much to so many. Thanks.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dan. And again, I can't thank the family, the JCAF, the Joe and Catherine Albertson Family Foundation for starting Mission 43. It's helping thousands of people across the state of Idaho, and people, it reaches beyond Idaho's borders as well, as people come into this town, into our state. But so thankful for Mission 43. Thank you for the opportunity to be on the podcast. Love you too, buddy. Yeah, we'll see you down the road.
Party. Thanks for joining us for the Mission 43 podcast. We hope you found it informative and helpful. If you have any questions or feedback, please comment below or email podcast@mission43.org. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date with new episodes. Be proud of your service, not defined by it. See you next time.